Yeah, I started recording, Dheeraj.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Good
if you
afternoon.
want, you can go video, turn off your video so that it will have better clarity on the video. It's up to you, but that's fine.
I think I already started my video. Is everybody able to see me?
Yeah, if you want, you can turn off your video. That's what I'm saying
No,
for
that's
better
fine.
quality of presentation.
That's fine. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today's Fort Worth Splunk user group session on Introduction to SPL version 2. We will be diving into the SPL2, which is an important upgrade to the original Splunk SPL. You may have already been utilizing Splunk SPL queries for your data analysis and pulling the records for the different types of logs that are ingested. And with the SPL2, it offers several enhancements aimed at improving query performance, flexibility, and ease of use. So with this session, we will discuss about the SPL2's features and differences compared to SPL, along with some example search queries. So welcome again, and let's get started. Okay. So the agenda of today's call is we will be talking about the overview of SPL2, about the new features in SPL2, what are the differences between SPL and SPL2, and then understand the SPL2 syntax, examples, and then finally we will have question and answers time. Okay, so I'll start with the first slide on SPL2 overview. So SPL2 is supported by Splunk Enterprise version 9.4 and above. So any enterprise version which is below 9.4, it is not supported. But if you want to test the Splunk and utilize Splunk SPL2, you can upgrade to version 9.4. And then it is designed to bring together the best of both SPL and SPL2. What I mean by that is it combines the feature of SPL. So any SPL specific commands which we were running earlier would still run in SPL2, but then it has combined SPL with SQL style syntax. And the goal of including SQL style syntax is basically to include the concept from the database admins queries. Um, so this is actually um, improving the facility and facilitating the way we query the data. So even the database admins, if they don't know SPL, they will still be able to utilize the SQL style syntax and query the data. So essentially, it is truly a multi-model experience, making it easier for a wide range of users, from database analysts to developers, to interact with the data in a more intuitive and flexible way. And one of the standout features of SPL2 is, um, as I said, it's a dual support for SPL and SQL syntax. Um, it also supports querying and tuning the data both in a streaming environment, which is the edge and ingest processors, and the search environment, which is Splunk's original Splunk D. So what it means is you will be able to, um, you know, utilize Splunk SPL2 pipeline and, utilize the feature of the advanced feature available in Splunk to basically tune and filter out any data that you want to drop, or maybe mask the data. So you can do it from the query, and you don't need to basically go back into the props and transform and write regex manually, and then use a streamline editor to mask any information. You can do it with SPL2. So it basically simplifies the entire Splunk platform by providing a more consistent language interface, and it makes it easier to train new users, especially let's say if you have users who are in database admins. So it provides the way since it has both SQL style syntax and SPL syntax, so it provides those features. Okay, next we will be moving to the slide on new features. Um, so as I just mentioned in my previous slide, Splunk SPL version 2 or SPL2 brings a host of new features that enhance the Splunk experience. I'll just walk you through some of the key improvements. The first is the simplified adoption. So what it means is SPL2 supports both SPL and SQL syntaxes. So it allows users from different backgrounds, whether familiar with the traditional Splunk SPL or SQL, to quickly get up to speed. So if you have a database admin, he or she does not need to learn uh, Splunk SPL. They can just use Splunk, their SQL knowledge and query the data. And then the next is the enhanced as investigations. So the search capabilities within SPL2 has been extended. So with this, we can write more complex query with more efficiently, and also enable deeper insight and faster investigation. So it improves the performance also of investigation. And then advanced data handling. So it introduces the improvements in data handling and masking, as I was talking earlier. So we were basically with SPL, going into the backend, making changes in the props and transforms. So if I want to mask any data, I need to utilize the Streamline editor and mask the data in a heavy forwarder, and then the data gets masked and anonymized. But with the SPL2, it introduces the improvement, and we can work with sensitive data, offering better control over how data is processed, using SPL2 by creating a pipeline.
Hey, Dheeraj, quick question. So how do you do that? How do you mask data using SPL2?
So I have some slides. I will just talk about it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So SPL2 allows for increased extensibility. So it allows for custom functions, making it easier to extend functionality to suit business needs. So SQL compilations, that the SQL style syntax that we have, that provides that functionality. Okay, let's now talk about the differences between SPL and SPL2. Uh, so let's explore the key differences between SPL and SPL2. So SPL2 is built on SPL. It just enhances the syntax and offers more powerful features, and but it is improved, but there are key differences between both. So SPL2 uh, is backward compatible since it is built upon SPL, so it means it maintains the backward compatibility um, for existing users. This ensures a seamless transition when upgrading to SPL2. So let's say if we have written certain queries in SPL, dashboards and alerts and reports we have developed. So those dashboards and alerts and reports will still exist. And if in future we want to develop some dashboards leveraging SPL2, then we can utilize that. The next difference is between multimodal. As I was talking earlier, SPL supports only SPL. It's just SPL queries we can run. But with SPL2, it supports both SPL and SQL syntaxes. So it can integrate with both streaming runtimes and also search runtimes. So it's like if I want to uh, you know write some queries for edge processor processing, I can use SPL2 and write it. And again, it can also query data stored in Splunk indexes. And the third difference is learn once, use anywhere. So SPL2, you can apply your existing SPL knowledge of data in motion, and we don't need to go back into the props and transform and edit the props and transform and make any updates, but you can just apply it in motion. All right. So now we talk about what is the right SPL2 command. So there is a workflow to how to make a decision. So if I want to decide which SPL2 command I need to use, it's important to we follow the decision process that is in the workflow. So I'll just walk you through it step by step. And the decision process is first I need to decide whether I prefer a SQL-like command or the more keyword-based search format. So if I am a database admin and I'm familiar with SQL, I may lean towards using SQL syntax for its structure. On the other hand, if I am more accustomed to, if I was a Splunk analyst and more familiar with the Splunk SPL, I'll stick with that format. And basically, it all depends on what my comfort level is. So once I make a decision that I will run SQL or SPL, um, I will choose that and then I will utilize that. Now, there are generating commands. Essentially, there are three types of generating commands. Every SPL2 search needs to begin with. So the three commands are from, search, and union. The from command is used to specify the data set or source you want to query. The search command is used to start a search and apply filters to your data. And then the union command is basically if you want to combine results from multiple data sets. That's what I was talking about, improving the performance and efficiency. So union command can combine the results from multiple data sets into a single output. So these generating commands basically kick off the search process and lay the foundation for further analysis. Now, syntax is basically commands are connected using the pipeline as we were doing in SPL. So it's the same kind of syntax, and it eliminates the need for deeply nested queries that we had in SPL. So yeah, I mean, as so far we have seen from the experience that SPL2 is providing more flexibility, and now we are going to look at the searches. And we will talk about the syntax. So as you see, we have talked about SPL2 it supports both SPL and SPL2 syntax. So depending on my comfort level, if I'm more comfortable with the SPL syntax, then I will utilize the search command and I will just search as I've been doing it in SPL. Index equals sec_ops, which is the index where my data is stored. Source type equals CrowdStrike, event external. And then like the same syntax we were following in SPL to the stats, utilize stats, then any calculation, max, average, and by grouping it by endpoint or host. Then if I want to add any condition that the endpoint should not be equal to _star or then if I want to add an eval statement, so that's a SPL syntax. Now, a database admin will be more comfortable with SQL syntax. So this is the SQL syntax that can be executed. Select max alert score. So both formats are, both syntax are supported and it can be executed. Okay. So now I'm going to talk about the SPL2 command arguments. Command arguments are basically features that are, added in angle brackets or optional arguments. So it's basically understanding the syntax for, for utilizing these arguments to write effective queries. We need to understand these arguments, and basically these are three types of arguments. The required argument, which is enclosed in angle brackets. This is the mandatory component of the command. So for example, the command will be, whatever the command is going to be, it's going to be within the angular brackets as the required argument. Then there is optional argument, which is enclosed in square brackets. These are arguments which are optional. They are not mandatory, but we can choose to include them based on our needs. Then there is grouped arguments. So the grouped argument is basically the set of arguments where they are enclosed in parentheses. These are used when a set of argument should be treated as a group. Maybe we can think of as a bundle, way to bundle related arguments. Let's say if I have a PHP template, I want to bundle it together to query the specific data for the PHP template, then I will use the grouped argument. Okay. So I will move to the next slide. Okay. So these are some of the search examples that I have included, and we will go over these search basics. And this session is about the introduction to SPL2. We will have another session which will basically include a demo into it. So we will run these searches and show the results in a Splunk instance. But today we're just going to talk about since this is an introduction to SPL2, so this is just to explain about what SPL2 is, how is it different with SPL, do a comparison, and then just go over some of the examples. But more detailed, the next session that we will have more detailed searches. So as we see the basic search in SPL2, from my index source type equals syslog. So in normal SPL queries, we basically query as index equals the index name, and then source type equals the source type name. So in case of SPL2, we will basically query use the from command. We'll start with from, and then the index name, and then source type equals source type name. So that will tell Splunk to search for events for that specific source type and index, and it will give the results. Now, the next is about the same query, same data that we are pulling, but that's basically a SQL style syntax. So it will query the SQL, it's a SQL based query. It starts with the select statement, select earliest time, then the value, then the metric name, and then from underscore metrics, where the metric name is deploy %, and then group by metric name. So that's the SQL style of query. And then the third one is if I want to search multiple indexes. So let's say if I am searching the metric name from indexes in EMEA and APAC, and I want to count the orders which is greater than 1,000, and then group it by country. So that's what is going to, if I want to pull this record, I will be able to run this query. Okay, so the next part is what I think Pratish, you had a question. So basically how this works is a command pipeline. So the query will start with if I have to select the data, so it's dollar pipeline equals pipe from source. The source, so it's like let's say if I want to begin a query and I want to select data from a particular source, so I will say use the form from source and then into destination. So from, into, and pipeline is what I need to utilize. That's a basic example. And let's say if you look in the other queries, the remaining queries, if I want to mask sensitive information, I will still use dollar pipeline equals pipe from source. And then let's say if I want to mask the credit card number, I will replace using the eval statement from underscore raw, which is the field underscore raw, and I will replace um, the regex that we see in the query. Starts with the square bracket 1 to 5, then square brackets 0 to 9. So that part of the regex will actually replace the credit card numbers with the value redacted. And then once that eval statement is executed, then it will be stored into the destination. So it will be the destination, what we define, that will be executed. So this will ensure that the sensitive data, such as credit card numbers, are masked before sending the results to destination. And similarly, if I want to filter any data, so I will basically use a regular expression to first identify that data. And so if you look in the query, the pipeline from source rex, whatever data I want to filter out, so I will write a condition to select that data using rex, and then I will basically define some conditions. So in the query, I think the condition is where record type equals user underscore login, and then where result equals failed, and then fields record type comma result into the destination. So that's what is going to filter the extracted data.
So this goes in normal search and reporting app?
No, it is the edge processor.
Okay.
Yeah.
But can we use the same SPL2 in the regular?
So that is the SPL from. So the workflow that we identified, so that from and the search will apply there. But if you have a pipeline that you want to define, so you need to go.
Yeah, not about the pipeline, just the SPL2 in regular.
Yeah,
search and
SPL2. So it will allow. Okay, so and then SPL2 also allows to use wildcard characters. So let's say if I want to search the wildcard, like if I want to search for all hosts that start with the name host. So in the query, I can say select within the quotes, single quotes, host is asterisk from main. So that will search all the host which start with the name host. Okay. There are some other queries which combine expressions with logical operators. So if I want to combine from index equals underscore internal, if I want to search data from internal index and those sources which have license in the name, in the file name, and then also I want to combine it with the and search for type equals usage and group by ITX, so I can use this query. And then group by also it allows, so if I want to group search results by a single field, then I can write this query, select average CPU usage as average usage from my index where source type equals syslog and group by host. So as I said, today's session was focused on introduction to SPL2. We will have another session where we will talk more about SPL2, and we will also have a live Splunk server where we will run these queries and show the results and then collaborate more on this. But today's session was focused on introduction to SPL2. So I hope you liked the feature of SPL2 and how SPL2 is compatible with SPL and SQL. And it actually enhances the usage of Splunk by allowing both the users who have been using SPL and the users who do not know SPL but they know SQL, so they can basically log in and start using and running the commands, the SQL queries, and get the results that they are looking for. So that's the feature, and I just give some time for any questions. All right, so I think we are good to this. Oh, I think Dave has a question.
Yes, real quick. Are
Yeah.
there any known limitations on the use of the SQL syntax with SPL2? Anything you might crash into if you were using a very specific call using data query language, right?
So this SPL2 version is basically a new version. So far, the queries that I have written in using SQL, I have queried and I have not seen any performance issues. And I hope that this will not impact the performance. But again, writing the queries, there are some best practices on what data we are searching, how we are searching. So as we advance and as we, write some complex SQL queries as well and test it, probably we will have a better idea about how the performance would be. But so far, I have seen it does has a good performance. I don't see much issues.
Very well, thank you.
All right. So, Venkatesh, would you like to? I would stay here in the meeting, or should we stop recording when we're done?
Yeah, if no one has questions, we can stop recording the session.
Okay. You will stop recording, right, Venkatesh? Because
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.